Let's get on with the economic argument. We're going to have to start from birth, and we're going to have to do that in a sequenced manner that children who are faced with these unusual and ever-expanding circumstances are going to have quality preschool. Then they're going to have to go into a quality school. One can't do without the other, because if you don't have a value chain going all the way up right through their college and technical preparation, college and career, then you will have the recidivism that shows up on many of the studies. We found in Montgomery County, right outside of in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C., that if we did these things, even though the county's demographics went from somewhere between 50 and 60% white to about 30% white in a 12-year period of time, if we created the right wraparound programs, the right preschool programs that were strong enough and rigorous enough, that fed into a rigorous pre-K through 3 program, that fed into a middle school and a high school that actually works and inspired as well as prepared the child, you could have marvelous things happening. We actually listened to the educators. We listened to the parents. We listened to the children. We listened that it was boring. We listened that it was non-rigorous. We listened to the differential expectations. We listened to the load, the educational load. We looked at the research. We actually looked at our graduates. We cross-matched their student number with the Department of Labor numbers and found out where they were and what kind of earnings they had. We went to the College Clearinghouse, the National College Clearinghouse, bought the data, cross-matched that to find out how our kids did in college. And then what we did is determine to take those successful people in the careers and the successful people who graduated from college or community college and see what their pathway was through school. And what we found is that there were actually milestones that those children all hit, regardless of race or ethnicity or poverty. For example, we found that they needed to be able to read at some level in kindergarten. Well, that demanded that we have an early childhood program. It also demanded that we would set up a standard for kindergarten entry. Now, when we first got started, only about 30% could hit that standard. After about 10 or 12 years, even though the community got bigger, thousands of more children, even though it got more diverse, got poorer, 60% poverty, 120% increase in children didn't speak English, 90% of the kids who came to kindergarten actually were prepared for kindergarten, which cut down on the span of control. Then they could read. By the end of kindergarten, 90% were coming out with level 4 reading. That's all races. And then bingo, they were on a track for success. We actually designed something that not only worked, but the employees wanted to execute, felt that they had the capacity to execute, and did execute with fidelity at scale over time. And guess what? The kids came. The attendance stayed high. The graduation rate stayed high. So it all starts in the first 720 days. Pre-K, K, 1, and 2. If you don't get those right, the last 720 days, grades 9, 10, 11, 12, won't be right. Once the standards were put out from the college and career graduates all the way down, people could actually see what you needed to hit. And we provided free training, free access to the standards, free ways to measure that, and we invited everybody in. And we didn't care whether you got it at home, we didn't care whether you got it in a private. You got private daycare providers, you got Head Start, you got Early Start, you got home and health. We just care that you had it. And when I say had it, we're prepared to enter kindergarten, to hit a certain standard so you could learn how to read, so you could get on that pathway for a good career or higher education. Once everybody understood that, they all came aboard. We all worked together as a team. Kind of like the old game of tug the rope. We all got on the same rope and we all pulled. And we found ways to work together with transportation, we found ways to work together with home visitation, we found ways to work together Because what we found is we were wasting a lot of money by each agency trying to duplicate, and we were stepping on each other's toes. And if you're the recipient, you just don't feel very good when 10 or 12 people show up on your doorstep at different times with different rules and regulations. So we homogenized that, where it didn't feel bad to the parent. Because parent engagement is turned off by the bureaucracy. We started parent academies to teach the parents how to access the school system. We started study circles where it's little groups of 15 where we talked about race and class and academic achievement. We created safety zones, psychologically safe zones for parents to talk. We delivered health care at our schools, actually brought in some trailers and got the local doctors to volunteer and got family counselors and all kinds of people to organize, to give a wraparound. We did summer feeding programs. Anything we could do to make the school the hub and to have them not be afraid. Because once they get over their fear, you know what? Every parent wants, or every guardian wants, or every child that was homeless wanted a good education. You have to engage the business community because there's a lot of sound practices they have about alignment. The business community is all about effective execution. And so we aren't executing very well, so we could learn a lot from how they go about executing, how do they go about thinking about attacking a problem. The success that Montgomery had was due in major part by listening to the Montgomery County employees, the Montgomery County parents, and putting it in a particular perspective that people could see that we weren't doing this just to be do-gooders, but it was an economic imperative. It was an imperative to bring jobs into the community. It was an imperative to help those who are here and who are about to come. Everything that we did could actually easily be replicated anywhere in the country. All you have to do is learn to work together. All you have to do is ask under what conditions can we get these outcomes. All you have to do is to quit talking about it and start doing it. Because if you start doing it, you'll learn from your mistakes. Don't think you're going to get it right the first time. Don't think that you aren't going to have some continuous improvement process. Don't think that you can't learn something from improvement science. And don't think you can't learn something from each other, the business community, in all segments. We have to do this, and it's going to take every one of us pulling together.